Today, I want to talk about finding purpose and joy in your life in your early 20s. There's so much negativity online, and there are really toxic communities like Black Pill or even self-improvement content creators like Andrew Tate a few years ago, who just farmed attention fueled by low self-esteem people who potentially engaged in a lot of really degenerate behavior. I think COVID-19 was one of the biggest accelerators for this general feeling of hopelessness and nihilism in our generation. We became sucked into our virtual worlds, whether it was video games, social media, or other online forums that quickly devolved into echo chambers that amplified toxic thoughts and bad practices. I think I personally found a really good balance in my life where I had no reason to be depressed or anxious or sad or have any excuse to self-pity. And that doesn't mean that I have everything figured out. It doesn't mean that I have everything I want or desire. I mean, I've been single for a long time now, and I have terrible luck and terrible skills when it comes to my dating life. So, sure, I could sit back and cry about not being able to find a girlfriend. A lot of young men cry about that. They claim that they're lonely, and that loneliness turns into sadness, and that turns into anger. And then that turns them into black pill degenerates, or people who view women as terrible people. And I think that's really ridiculous. And I'm not just gonna bash on men, because I think the problem that I really want to emphasize applies to everybody. And that problem is generally being unfulfilled with yourself. Nobody has any ambition or drive anymore because they think that their lives are already over and it's not worth living. Some people might say, I can't find a girlfriend, therefore I'm worthless and my life is not worth living. Or they might say that they just hate themselves in general. But then you look at how these people live and their lives day to day, and then you realize that they sit on social media for hours and hours and hours just wasting their time. They scroll and scroll, mindlessly consuming. And I know a lot of YouTubers have talked about this and the detriments of social media, so I'm not going to linger on the negative effects per se, but I do want to say very clearly is the main takeaway from this video is that you need to delete social media. Get the hell off of TikTok, get the hell off of Instagram, get out of your virtual echo chambers and actually do something with your life. What gives you the idea that you are justified to waste your life sitting there on social media all day? You're sitting there on an app that brings you no joy and makes you feel terrible. You're addicted, and that's not even to mention other, even worse digital addictions. And you know what I'm talking about. I think the thing that this generation lacks most is accountability. Of course you can't get ahead in life if you're wasting 80% of your day doing nothing. Of course you're not going to succeed if you'd rather jerk off or get drunk instead of studying a new skill. If you're unfulfilled or feel like you're wasting your life, then it's your fault. You need to take accountability for your problems instead of blaming others, or instead of blaming the economy, or instead of blaming the job market or school. You have the power to change your life. But why are you wasting that power? If you're living in 2025 and you want to make something of your life, you need to delete social media and stop engaging in destructive habits and addictions. It's not easy, I admit it, but it doesn't matter. If you want a good life, you need to make sacrifices. Nothing in life is free. The easier you make it for yourself, the worse off you'll be. And I speak from experience. A few years ago, I cut off most of my digital addictions. One example that I can mention is deleting Instagram, which was my very last social media before YouTube, which I admit I still have. It's something I use a lot for education these days, especially around finances or programming. But I determined that the 5 or so hours a week that I spent on Instagram could have been better used elsewhere. So I simply deleted it. To hell with all my followers. If they really care about me, they can just text me. They have my number. So the important thing for me was not to get hung up on some of those hooks that these platforms had in me. You have nothing to lose of value by deleting them. Now, with all of this extra time, I had so much extra energy and opportunities to engage in new hobbies. This was actually when I first got into coding. And honestly, coding was my first love. It changed my life. It was a real hobby that facilitated real creativity and sparked a passion that can go as deep or as broad as I want. It gave me something to love. It gave me a new purpose in my life. And this new purpose made all that brain rot and brain fog and terrible feelings and garbage that social media gave me go away. And I've been clean for years now, and I feel amazing. My life has compounded in terms of its acceleration, and I love my life so much more now that I don't have social media or any of these online platforms. I've been freed to self-reflect and decide what I want to do with my life. I've been able to get my driver's license. I've been able to grind and build projects, and that got me my first internship. And through doing that, I learned new skills. I made new friends. And I was able to also stay in touch with my roots and my family and some of the hobbies that I love the most, like gaming. But I think gaming is another really interesting topic. One anecdote that I will share is I know somebody who complains that nothing goes their way in life. Yet, I always see them online playing video games. They complain that they can't get a job or that they don't know what to do with their life. But all I see them doing is playing video games. So that goes back to wasting your time, doing nothing. Of course you can't get ahead if you're wasting your time. You need to put yourself at every advantage. You can't cripple yourself by wasting your day and your mental energy on useless consuming. So by ditching the toxic shit that you're constantly exposed to, I promise you that your life will get better. So this is my challenge for you. For 1 month, delete Instagram, delete TikTok, get rid of Twitter, get rid of Snapchat, or whatever other garbage you've been wasting your time on. Then I want you to find one thing you're even moderately interested in and dedicate all of your free time to pursue it relentlessly. Whether that's learning to code, photography, reading cool and educative books, creating art, making music, going to the gym, going for walks, spending time with your family. It doesn't matter. It just needs to be something non-destructive. Do that and you won't feel bad about yourself. You're going to find purpose in your life. And you won't be that 20-year-old degenerate who spends all of their waking hours wasting their time consuming garbage and getting nowhere in life. Instead, you're going to be a 20-year-old with a vision, with a mission, with a purpose. And you'll be above the toxicity of the modern online space. And that's when you'll become truly free. There's so much more that I can say about this, but I'm going to leave that for another video because honestly, I just want you to take your life into your own hands. Stop being a victim. Empower yourself. Become your own master. Because personally, I can't respect people who play the victim. Unless you're in a seriously disadvantaged situation, you have the ability to change your life. If you can get out of the bed in the morning and waste your time scrolling on TikTok, then you can get out of the bed in the morning and hop on YouTube and learn how to code. It is up to you to take your life into your own hands because nobody is going to save you. And if you truly want to achieve financial freedom and real purpose and happiness in your life, then it's up to you to become your best self. And for the people who can't find a girlfriend like me, I promise you, sitting online all day is not helping you. Your only chance is to become happy with yourself because that is attractive and that's going to take you so much further in life. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I'm going to talk about this a lot more, like I mentioned. But yeah, thanks for listening to my thoughts. Have a good one.